Welcome to Pack It Like It's Hot, the official podcast from MJS Packaging, where we dive into real-world packaging insights with the people who know it best, our team, our partners, and other industry pros. Let's get started.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Pack It Like It's Hot. I'm your host, Greg Clark, and I'm here with my co-host, Cindy Vogel. Hi, Cindy.
Hi, Greg. How are you doing today?
Good. I'm excited. We have a wonderful guest today. Jerry Ruud of Grateful Packaging is here. Jerry, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. Thank you for joining us. Jerry, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background here before we dive into the meat and potatoes.
Oh, sure. I'm actually a third generation packaging guy. My grandfather worked at Wheaton Glass for 44 years, the only job he ever had. And he got my father, who ended up marrying my grandfather's daughter, also known as my mother. He got my dad a job at Wheaton Plastics. Yeah. Got my dad a job at Wheaton Plastics. My dad had a 40-plus year career in the plastics business, also selling tubes. So I'm actually a second generation tube salesman. What else can I tell you about? I'm happily married my wife, Denise, for almost 31 years. We have two beautiful daughters. Erica, who's 27, is a teacher, a junior high school teacher down in Largo, Florida. And Brittany, who is 24, studied to become a OBGYN doctor.
Nice.
And she's in the middle of that circus. And so
excellent.
I think what else you want to know.
And Jerry's a huge Toronto Blue Jays fan.
Crazy Toronto Blue Jay fan. This is bad for your video, but over there is my favorite player, Dave Steve. Right next to it is the Canadian national anthem, because I actually know the Canadian national anthem. My wife thinks it's kind of funny, so she got it for me for Christmas and framed it. And that, believe it or not, is why we live in Dunedin, Florida, because it's the home of the Toronto Blue Jays spring training site. And I am totally here for the Blue Jays. My wife is here for our daughter, who lives about 10 minutes away from us. But I love my daughter, but I'm here for the Blue Jays.
But you have your priorities, is what you're telling us.
I do. And she knows that. And she sometimes says that's great, and sometimes she says that's why, really, Dad, I don't always like you. But it's good. We're good.
All right. Well, it's always good for one child to favor their mother. So
Yes.
All right. So Jerry, tell us, what inspired you to start Grateful Packaging?
Yeah, so I've been blessed to get into this business. I went to college to be a teacher, and then I realized I kind of hated kids, and I became a parent instead. But around that line, I had an opportunity to get into tube sales, plastic tube sales, to be specifically, and I started working for a company called Tubed Products out in the West Coast. That's where I started my career. Worked for Tube Products, spent a little time with CCL Plastics, ended up getting back to Tube Products before we got bought by Berry. And I was with the Tube Products / Berry Plastics group for about 18 years. Went to work for a cosmetic packaging company that also sold tubes. In fact, we ended up building a tube factory in Suzhou, China, called WWP, or Worldwide Packaging. And then after a transition from one private equity owner to another, I had an opportunity to try to do something else, and took a little time off. And Grateful Packaging was kind of born, almost out of my wife saying, "You're too bored. You need to do something. You drive me crazy." And it's just kind of how it started about almost 8 years ago now.
That's great.
That's great. As a founder, Jerry, what's been the biggest lesson you've learned in building a packaging company?
Yeah. So, I would say, first of all, it takes time to build a business. Even though you've been doing it for a long time, you have a lot of contacts, you definitely got to have some patience. Definitely got to have, I love to say, some seed money to be able to get yourself from zero to something where you can make a living that's sustainable. And just there's a lot of things that go into running your own business. For the most part, I'm kind of a single owner. I've just recently kind of brought on a partner, which I'm very grateful for. No pun intended with the Grateful Packaging name, but just you have to wear all the hats. You know, you have to wear all the hats. You have to invoice. You have to make sure your clients are paying their invoices so you can get paid. You got to follow up. You quote things, you follow up things. You're a project manager, you're a salesman. You know, you're prospecting, you're chasing. You know, and you have to make sure you enjoy all of it because you have to do it all. You can't really outsource it to anybody. AI may be able to do some of this. I haven't figured that out yet, but I have trouble spelling AI, so we'll see how that goes.
Well, we understand already that you have tubes in your DNA, it sounds like. So we want to extract a little bit of that and learn from you here. So what makes tube packaging uniquely valuable compared to bottles, jars, or pouches? What's so great about them?
Yeah, well, first of all, tubes, and I just, you know, I can't say these are props because these are all over my desk anyhow, but
Sure.
But tubes are one of the things I like about tubes is when people are filling them, everything is included. You get the cap, you get the printing. You don't have to worry about getting caps or pumps or labels and putting all these things together. A tube comes, for those not familiar, open-ended. So even though this tube is sealed because it's filled, when you get your tubes, it comes like this. They get filled, sealed, crimped, and off they go. But there's nothing else to manage except for the tube. Tubes are, you know, the product is always at the orifice. So here, this is a unique little tube. It's for, where I put this in my hair. I think it's actually a hand cream, but the intent is to maybe do something like this with
Sure.
like a root treatment or something from that standpoint. And the product is always at the orifice. You don't have to worry about pumping it out of the pump or things like that. They're very portable. You know, this is actually a tube. It's a lip balm and easy to apply. It's less than 3 ounces for those people who travel. You know, you can put it in your bag and not have to worry about getting caught by the TSA.
Sure.
So there's a lot of unique things you can do to a tube. Where bottles and closures are typically either stock or custom. Tubes takes a stock platform and then every customer customizes it. And what do I mean by that? I mean, tubes are typically sold by diameters. So my primary partner in China has a 10 millimeter diameter. It is a itsy bitsy tiny little tube. And they go up to 50 millimeter diameter. Some companies go up to 60 millimeters in diameters with different lengths. You customize the length. You customize the material. You customize the color, the orifice, the cap. There's all kinds of things you can do it. So it's stock packaging that's very, very customized. So sometimes you may have a client that comes up or a prospect that comes up and says, hey, just give me your stock 4-ounce tube. You know, it's not a stock 4-ounce Boston Round, which, by the way, the little bit that I know about bottles, enough to get me in trouble, there's not stock 4-ounce Boston Rounds, right? There's families, there's different sizes. You want it shorter, squatter, you know, there's things of that nature. But same with tubes. There's not really a stock offering that you can just take off the shelf. It's very customizable packaging. And it's fun. I mean, I'm a geeky tube guy. What can I say? I just really enjoy the process of helping to create the tubes. I enjoy seeing the tubes on the shelf or on social media. Not that I'm on social media, but on Amazon or things like that when they're sold, you know, direct to consumer and things like nature. And yeah, it's kind of fun.
Before we continue, we want to thank you for listening. Each month you have a chance to win a $50 Amazon gift card and a Pack It Like It's Hot podcast logo coffee mug for our podcast giveaway. During this episode, we've shared a designated keyword. This month's keyword is innovation. Again, that's innovation. You can submit that keyword on our website through the podcast giveaway page, mjspackaging.com/podcast-giveaway for a chance to win. We'll select one eligible entry at random at the end of the contest period. See the official rules on our website as well. Now, let's get back to the conversation.
Talk about innovation. What's happening in tube packaging with innovation? Materials, perhaps products migrating to the format, decoration. What do you see going on there?
Yeah, so the world that I live in today, when I was working for North American tube manufacturers, I think they do a lot of what I would call stock offerings, commodity type things. And they're great. There's a lot of really, really good North American manufacturers. Today, I'm primarily representing Asian and even Chinese tube manufacturers. And I think one of the things that we do really well is we develop custom cool little thing. So this is a newer innovation. This has got, and this may not show well, but it's got a little soft material here. It's actually encapsulated in a bag that we encapsulate, lock into this package. It gives you just different ways to apply. We do a lot of stuff for cosmetics, a lot of lip, face, the same. There we go. The same package here, just pink.
Cool.
We can color them. We do a lot of things for lip, face applicators. One of the things I think is really cool. This tube is a hexagonal tube.
Oh, that is cool.
Oh, wow.
With a hexagonal closure.
Look at that.
Fancy.
And when I take the cap off, it's nothing special, but this just shows what we can do to customize things. And,
wow.
and one of the things I think that's really cool and unique and innovative is the fact that we can customize packages. In fact, Greg and I had the opportunity year and a half ago to work on a unique product for one of his clients. And those are things that you just can't get done in the United States in a cost-effective, timely manner for the volumes that they're looking for. The volumes are nice, but they're not, tens of millions. And that stuff in the United States for North American manufacturers, that's really what they're looking for, to bring in as much automation as they can to drive down costs.
Great stuff.
Okay. So let us in on the blooper reel. So what are some of the biggest mistakes that brands make when they want to launch in a tube?
Easy mistake, right? Can you tell me, Cindy, what that little white line is right there in the middle of the crimp area?
It's the stripy thing, of course.
Yeah, the stripy thing. So if you look at tubes closely, you will typically see in that area, wow, we're seeing a little pattern here, right?
It's a
little
consistent
white
stripy thing.
Stripy thing. Well, I'm gonna really throw you off here because this is a black.
Oh,
stripy
okay.
thing,
My bad on that part.
So that little black or white stripy thing, and sometimes they can be invisible, but they must be there, is called an eye mark. And why do you need an eye mark? Because as I showed you before, tubes come like this. You got to fill them, and then you got to seal them. And if I crimped this tube like this, it would look bad.
Sure.
Instead of crimping it like this, where you have the decoration of the front like you want it.
Sure.
So very simple, but got to make sure that they have the little white stripy thing, also known as an eye mark. Got to make sure there's enough contrast. You got to make sure there's not anything what they call the quiet area. So when the tubes are spinning and the pucks get filled, it only catches that, and it doesn't catch something on the side here, or the front panel. That's a mistake. I think the other thing is making sure that clients do their product compatibility testing to make sure that their product is compatible with the tube material. Many times we sell tubes with an EVOH barrier property because a lot of clients don't take the time to do enough proper testing, and they like to be a little safe.
Sure.
But the major brands, the bigger brands, that's one of the reasons why it typically takes them longer to test. They're doing a lot of compatibility testing and things like that. That are good to do.
Cool. That is cool.
What about sustainability with tubes, Jerry? What's going on in that area, and what are some misconceptions about sustainable tube packaging?
I get myself in trouble, man, but I'm going to say it anyhow. In North America, tubes are not recycled. They're not able to be recycled. Okay. So you will have people say, hey, we have tubes that are recyclable. And recyclable and able to be recycled are two different things. So I had the opportunity to visit the largest MRF, which is known as a material recovery facility in Brooklyn, New York, and sat down with a lady there who was saying, yeah, there's a council trying to figure out how do they recycle tubes because tubes are too small to get through their, for lack of a better term, grates and systems. They're too flexible to get through there.
I see. Okay.
And they haven't, and on a scale, tubes are used a lot less than bottles. I believe bottles are are sold at a 20-to-1 ratio. That's a Jerry Ruud swag. So don't go to Jeopardy and use that as an answer to a question. But there's a lot more bottles being used than tubes. So in terms of, what matters, right? It matters more to capture more.
Mm-hmm.
Bottles can be very, very big. Think about the laundry detergent bottles and things of that nature that, one laundry detergent bottle versus one little tube like this, right? What's using a lot more plastic?
Sure. So catch the big
now,
guys.
What do we do? What do we do to make tubes more environmentally friendly? We have the opportunity to use sugarcane resins for people that are, not food sourced sugarcane, but not petroleum based. We can add PCR into the tube sleeves or tube heads. I typically don't recommend using more than 45% PCR in the tube sleeve, just to make sure you don't have any sealing issues. There's definitely companies that promote more, and there's definitely companies that do, but I tend to err on the side of caution, and I know what does work reliably. We typically try to make our tubes as thin as possible, so you don't want a flimsy tube like those water bottles that we buy now. That once you take the cap off, and all of a sudden you take a sip, it's hard to even hold the hand in it. But yeah, I would say those are things that we do. A lot of times they're multi-material, so that's usually not great for recycling streams. Yeah. Oh, by the way, for those who want metal tubes, good luck. Those are some of the toughest tubes I have found to supply consistently, especially to the cosmetic industry. They're not as let's say pretty. They're more geared towards pharmaceutical applications or greases and oils and lubricants and things like that, where the aesthetics are, I would say, not as I hate to upset a marketing person, but I'm sure I do too, but they're not as much of a requirement.
Sure.
For a marketing person. That's fair. For grease lube for a guy that's going to use in the garage, then let's say Hailey Bieber's brand, and her following it's much more about looks and aesthetics as well as performance of the package or of the product, I should say.
You mentioned the aluminum tubes and metal tubes, and you and Cindy are old enough to remember, but as kids, right, that was all that was out there. And so you had the toothpaste, and I can remember you're squeezing in the toothpaste tube and it cracks, and now toothpaste just coming out the side.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. That was always kind of fun. I knew I needed new toothpaste at that point.
Or that you were too aggressive with the toothpaste.
Maybe both.
So, Jerry, if you were launching a brand tomorrow, why would you choose a tube for it?
Well, it really depends on what it is you're going to launch, right? It depends on the size, right? If you're going to launch something that's, 16 ounces, a tube is not going to be your package. If you're going to launch something we can do like all the way down to 2 milliliters of product, up to 8 to 10 ounces is a bigger tube, but that's fine to be in a tube. That's one thing to consider. In fact, one of the things I always ask people is, what's the volume? And I make sure I clarify that. Like, I'm not talking about how many you want to buy, but I'm talking about how much product do you want in there. And also from a brand standpoint, like most of the times, for us packaging people really care about the product, not the package. Mm-hmm. The package is just a vehicle to make sure that product can get to the consumer. Mm-hmm. So, it's a nice glass bottle with a cool label on it for us guys to drink a beer that we have a preference towards, for ladies or people who apply different makeup, it's the makeup they're interested in. We think we can add some value, in supplying things that have cool, head styles and feels, maybe some tactile feels, and add to the whole experience, if you will. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's a billboard, so you can decorate it. You can do these cool graphics. This is, got like a double fade going on, a vignette. There's things you could do on there that I think do a nice job of decorating with tubes. I don't know if I answered your question, but sometimes I go off in tangents, and I apologize if I did. But
no,
great answer.
It's been great.
Tubes.
Yeah,
it's been a great.
I'm a tube geek. I mean, I really am. I know way too much about tubes, and than I should. And as one of my friends said, Jerry, it's cool that you're excited about it, but saying you're a tube expert is not a great pickup line anymore. So.
Well, we appreciate you sharing all of your knowledge with us. It's been just a treat for us, Jerry. So thank you for joining us.
Can't thank you enough, Jerry.
Thanks for having me. And again, tubes are fun. Tubes are fun. Just embrace them.
Go Tubes. Oh boy.
Well, listen, guys.
Do well, Jerry.
Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, thank you very much for having me, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to chat with you, and hope it brings value to you guys.
Absolutely.
In your business.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jerry. Enjoy your day.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for listening to our MJS podcast. Make sure to follow and listen on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. Tune in next month when we will be joined by another packaging expert. And remember, packaging solutions are just a click away at mjspackaging.com.